The Stranger Things podcast, episode number 9. Hello, and welcome to the Stranger Things podcast, a fan podcast dedicated to the original Netflix
original series, Stranger Things.
I knew I was getting it wrong. I'm Darrell.
And I'm Addi.
How are you today?
Muy bien.
It's cool to be talking Spanish with you because since the last time you and I recorded a podcast together, we had actually gone to Guatemala and back. We had not yet gone to Comic-Con. So we had just barely gotten back from Guatemala because we were back from Guatemala for 2 days. And then 3 days maybe. I think on the third day we went to San Diego Comic-Con. So it's been a while since we chatted about Stranger Things on microphones. So how you been?
I already answered that.
Oh, I should listen. Sorry. I'm a little bit out of my element today. For those of you, some people are joining us live. So we're doing a Facebook Live right now. We've completely moved our situation around in the studio. And we're kind of crammed over here into one little corner of the studio. And I've got a different recording device over here. And I got music coming in from a different direction, playing it live, which we don't normally do for this podcast. So I have to admit, Addi, I'm a bit discombobulated right now.
That's a word?
It's a word. It's a great word. You should look that up.
Cool. Got to fix my eyebrows.
My sophomore year English teacher, he had a big fat dictionary at the front of the room, and he would use words. He was fluent in like 3 or 4 languages. And he knew a lot about language in general. And so we would actually quiz him. We would flip to some random word in the dictionary that seemed really weird and like who could possibly know what that word means. And he knew enough about languages where he could deconstruct a word and give you, even if it wasn't a word he was familiar with, give you a pretty good guess of what the definition of the word was. And he had a tremendous vocabulary, and he would throw out these words. And if we didn't know what a word meant, he would say, look it up. And we would have to go to the front of the class and look it up in the dictionary and then tell the class what the definition of the word was from the dictionary. And so discombobulate is one of those words that I learned. I remember several of the words that we learned because of that format.
All right, cool. Google works too.
Well, Google didn't exist back then.
Oh, that's sad.
It is. It was a few years before Google. All right. Well, today, let's talk about what's on the menu for today. So it's been a while since we talked about Stranger Things, as I said. We've been to Comic-Con since then, so we're going, San Diego Comic-Con, that is. We're going to talk about our San Diego Comic-Con experience, which includes the Netflix booth and the Netflix experience.
I want to go get my hat.
You should go get your hat.
I'll be right back, guys.
She's going to go get her hat. I'm going to keep talking because that's what I do. What else are we going to talk about? I'll tell you what we're not going to talk about in this episode. We are not going to be doing a season 1 recap. We are not going to be doing listener feedback. Those things are going to be in a different episode that we'll do closer to season 2. So we are recording this here on September 10th. So this episode will come out in probably 3 or 4 days from now. And so that'll give us about 6 weeks prior to the season 2 launch. We'll have about 6 weeks between the time this episode comes out and when season 2 starts. So in that period of time, right before season 2 starts, we will do a season 1 recap episode and predictions all mixed into one there. And we'll also take feedback. And what we're looking for feedback for that episode, we have a few pieces of feedback that came in after we recorded our episode for episode 8, and which was the season 1 finale. So we'll be taking those pieces of feedback because we want to make sure they're out there. Those you guys took the time to write those up or record those and send them to us. So we want to make sure that they get shared. And then we'll be also looking for your predictions for season 2 or things you want to see. Maybe not through your predictions, but what you want to see or things like that. So you'll have a chance to do that. If you want to send that in, 304-837-2278 is the voice feedback line, or you can head over to goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback. And there you can, there's a whole variety of ways that you can do that. All right. So Addison has now returned. I like your hat.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, it's very cool looking. So let's get into it today by talking about our trip to San Diego Comic-Con. This was the second Comic-Con you'd ever been to. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This first Comic-Con you went to was the one in Dallas,
Texas.
Yeah, that's right. Now, kind of give us your overall thoughts and impressions of San Diego Comic-Con. What did you expect? How did it live up to those expectations? How did it compare to Dallas Comic-Con, and just kind of general things like that?
I don't remember Dallas Comic-Con that much.
Yeah, it was a while back. Okay.
I was like 9. Wait, how old was I? 2013?
2013? 4 years ago. Okay, so what did you expect from San Diego Comic-Con, and how did it kind of compare to that?
Well, I was expecting it to be like a lot hotter because it was in California. It was really warm.
Yeah. So it was warmer than you thought or colder than you thought?
I don't know. I guess colder because like I was cold a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, San Diego is not as hot as people might think. For me, the first time I went, especially in the evening time, I was freezing. I wished I had brought a jacket. I thought it's California, it's the summertime, but in the evening it gets pretty chilly there.
Nice one.
Thank you. But now I learned, and I told you, hey, bring a jacket because you'll need one. You're welcome for that. Okay, so the size, the scope of like the people and the waiting in the lines, and how was that experience for you?
I did not like that.
You didn't like the waiting in lines or the crowds?
Both.
Both. Okay, let's break down the crowds first, which is separate from waiting in lines. I'm not talking about the crowd in the line, in other words. You say you didn't like it. How come?
I don't like people.
Okay.
There's too many of them there.
Is it hard to navigate, hard to figure out where you're going, or hard to figure out how to get there, or what was it?
No, I can figure out where I'm going pretty easily, but like I just don't like a lot of people, especially when they're all taller than me. I don't like high school either for that reason. Okay. No, like I like the school part and I like the learning part. I just don't like the work and the people. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, people are, yeah, I'm with you, even though I am one. Okay, let's talk about the waiting in the lines. Now, you and I only went to 2 panels, I think, we were there. We had preview night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday badges. We had the full badge, the big badge you could get. And I think we only went to 3 panels. We went to the Ghostbusters panel on, Friday or Thursday? We went to I went to the Doctor Who panel on Sunday. You didn't. Well, it was more than one panel. We saw Dirk Gently and Doctor Who, and I think there was a third thing in there as well. But it might have just been those 2. You didn't go to that. You went to Dirk Gently.
Mm-hmm.
And then, was that it, or was there another panel we went to?
I think that was it.
That might have been it. But we waited in line for the Stranger Things panel. We'll talk about that for sure. We also waited in line outside. There's a lot of activities. If you've never been to San Diego Comic-Con, there's plenty to do outside that's free, open to the public. So if you get badges, maybe you don't get a Friday badge, but you get the others, don't worry. You can, there's plenty to do in San Diego, or you can just kind of do this stuff outside the con, which is what we spent a lot of time doing. So we waited in line for some of that stuff. Tell me about your thoughts, and not only in waiting in line, but was it worth it for the lines we had to wait in?
Well, for the Netflix experience that was across the street from the convention center, that was pretty good. I mean, how long did we wait in line? Like 4 hours?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. I mean, I really wanted to go to that. And it definitely paid off because like the second we got into the Stranger Things part of the experience, I just like started crying. I was like it was just awesome because like whenever you walk in, you just see like this whole memorial to Barb and like a whole bunch of like young pictures of her, and it was awesome. And then it had some props and just different like sets and stuff from the show. there was like this one part where they had like the bikes from the season 2 poster, and I really wanted to sit on the one that Mike was on, and I didn't know which one it was, so I just got on a random one, and then I looked at the poster after, and it turns out I got on the one that had Mike. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Okay, well, let's hang out here in the Stranger Things experience a little bit. Since you're here and you're kind of breaking it down a little bit, let's just kind of camp out there and do that. So you're right. We waited in line for 4 hours to get into the experience. I think part of that was our timing. We didn't know that it didn't open until 11, which wasn't, it didn't have anything to do with the tie into the show. It was just, that was the time they were opening it each day. And so we got in line, I think around 8:30 or something like that. Does that sound about right?
I don't know.
And it just wasn't moving. We had gone the previous day and the waits were like 40 minutes, 30 minutes. And we just didn't, we weren't really, it was later in the day. We were hot and probably dehydrated. We weren't feeling well. So we thought, no, if that's all the wait is, we'll just go first thing tomorrow morning and just while it's cool in the day and do it that way. So, you know, we waited, I think, at least 2 hours before the thing even opened. And so, of course, it's not going to move. And we didn't know that until we were way later in the day. And then, of course, they're just opening the day, so the line's not even moving and stuff.
Wasn't that the same day that they had the cosplayers? Like they were allowed to get in first.
That's right. So the Netflix experience was the Defenders and Stranger Things and
Bright. I just said
Bright. Yeah, I didn't understand what you said. I thought you said Right. Yeah, Bright. That's the new Will Smith thing. So once you went in. And they had to do like a security check with metal detectors and check your bag. So it wasn't just the line was moving at rapid pace. You kind of snaked through some Defender stuff. They had all 4 of the Defenders costumes there. And then they took you into this other complete room that was all about Bright. We skipped that altogether. We talked them into letting us skip that and go straight to the Stranger Things. And that was a huge tent. And then once you went through that, there was a secondary or a second area for the Stranger Things setup. So that was the whole process of getting into it. Once we got into the Stranger Things tent, you're right. The first thing is like this memorial to Barb. That was really sad and unexpected for me.
I know. Just like, thanks a lot for that. Yeah, that was really cool. I took some pictures of the pictures. And
yeah. Well, and we'll post those pictures on our website for this podcast. Of course, goldenspiralmedia.com /Stranger Things. And yeah, so if you've been to a funeral, most of us have, a lot of times they'll have a table set up with pictures of the deceased and flowers and maybe, you know, a guest book and some things like that. And
I don't remember anything.
Candles and stuff like that. So that's kind of what it was. It was a memorial to Barb, like you might see at a wake or a funeral or something like that.
What's a wake?
A wake is kind of like I was going to say a party. It's a gathering to kind of honor the memory of the deceased. It's usually at like somebody's house or something like that. There's food.
Oh, yay, food.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been to one of those.
I haven't either. I've only seen them on TV and movies. So if I'm wrong, blame the TV and movies. Okay, so you walk through, and then on like the right-hand side, that was on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side are these cases. They have all kinds of memorabilia and stuff from the show, like in display cases. What were some of the things you remember seeing in there?
Oh, heck.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
The compasses were in there?
Yeah, the compasses. I remember they had the clothes.
Yeah.
They had the costumes. That was so cool. They didn't have, I remember they were missing Eleven's wig.
Right.
And I think Lucas's bandana.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, maybe.
And I think maybe the wrist rocket too.
I think the wrist rocket was in there somewhere.
I don't think it was. I mean, it was something about Lucas was missing.
Yeah.
And then,
the D&D dice were in there.
Oh yeah. That. It was really cool.
Yeah, like I said, we've got pictures of that. It was dark in there, and so it was hard to see some of them, and it was certainly hard to get good pictures of some of them, but
they were playing Stranger Things music the whole time, and I just like started freaking out when they started playing Kids 2. I was just like, Because it's my favorite.
What?
I know.
I thought you should maybe mention that sometime. Yeah. So that was cool. Okay. So what was next? Was it the bikes or was it the forest or were those at the same place?
The forest, like the tree was like right before the bikes, and I tried to crawl into it, but then they told me not to.
We kind of got in trouble, not like bad trouble, but they were like, "Get out of the tree." That is not because it was like the tree that
Nancy went through.
Yeah, and you weren't like going to go in it. You were trying to just
I was just looking in there. I wasn't going to go in it.
She wasn't. Yeah. But I mean, I can understand why they don't know what your intentions are or if you're going to like crash the whole thing. So, and I was about to take a picture because I thought it'd been cool to see like Addi acting like she's going into the tree. And I don't know if I got that picture before she got onto us or not, but yeah, that's okay.
The gooey stuff, it looks like it's just made out of like this rubbery stuff. Like I got to touch it. It was just like this rubbery stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh, oops.
You just did. And then after that was definitely the bikes. You already kind of told the story about the bikes. Anything else you want to share on that?
Well, we didn't get any good pictures. They were all blurry unless you got some on your phone.
I don't know. There was a lady that was stationed there because it wasn't just okay to sit on the bikes. You were invited and welcome to sit on the bikes, and
it had the background too.
Yeah. And I could have, but I was doing a video and I didn't want to disrupt the video because I do plan on posting that video. In fact, I think I already posted it to our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/Stranger Things GSM. But I'll also see if I can get that posted over to the website as well if you want to go check that out. And so I didn't want to disrupt the video, so I didn't get on the bikes. But you did, and she did get some pictures, but I don't know if they turned out or not.
They were blurry. Right, I looked at them. They're still on the memory card.
Yeah. Maybe I can pull a still from the video. Probably not. I mean, I probably won't be very good, but we can try. Anyway, after that was a few more of the cabinets, and then this was so cool because the new trailer hadn't yet come out. It came out, I think, the next day, and they had this arcade set up, and it had Miss Pac-Man and Space Invaders.
And it had the one they were playing in the trailer. I don't remember what it was called though. Like
Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, that.
And there was a fourth one that was out of order. It might have been. Oh, it was Galaga. Galaga. I don't know if that was out of order or not, but you can actually play them. I played a little. In fact, on the video, you can see me trying to play Pac-Man with one hand while I'm trying to hold the video, and so I'm trying to watch the video to make sure it's not like fading off because your arm drifts. I didn't do very well. But that was so cool. So I told you after we got done, I thought, this is not something we've seen yet in season 1. This must be a season 2 teaser. And sure enough, the trailer came out the next day. Like, oh, okay, yeah, clearly. So that was
it's like the
neat.
Opening scene.
Yeah. And we'll do a breakdown of the trailer as well. That's not going to be covered in this podcast. I meant to mention that was not what we were talking about today, but we will do a breakdown of the new trailer before season 2 starts. So look for that. And then that was it for the tent. Then you kind of came to a counter. It'd be like if you're in an arcade and you go cash in your tickets and you get something, they give you something stupid or some candy. That was kind of what it was. At the end of the arcade was a counter, and they were giving out swag. And so
swag.
So we have been really, 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 really hoping to get a hat. They gave away the hats that have, it's the Dustin hat. It's hard to see in the video, so let me get it a little bit closer. There we go. It says Stranger Things on it. So it's not just plain white like Dustin's is, because it's all like, it looks plain white from this angle right here, but get it up to the camera, you can see. They were out of those. And then they were also giving away Stranger Things t-shirts. They were out of those. And so Addison, what did we get instead?
We got, okay, one more thing. So right before we went in there, we were talking about the pop characters, and I was like, it would be really cool if they had mini versions of the Stranger Things pop characters, and because I had no idea they existed. And then we get up to the counter, and they're like, "What's your favorite character?" And I say Dustin, because Dustin's my favorite. Obviously, he's awesome. And then they pull out a little keychain of a pop character Dustin. I'm like, oh yes.
Yeah.
And then
you should go grab all those.
All of them?
Well, yeah. Yeah, why not?
All right. See you in 30 minutes.
They're just right there. So Addison's going to go grab. We kind of loaded up on pop characters. So that was really cool.
Okay, one of them is legally mine because I bought it with my own money from Hot Topic.
Hot Topic. Yeah, so she's right. It was super cool. We were shocked because we didn't know that the little miniature ones existed. And so she got a Dustin one. And then they asked me who my favorite character was, and I'm having trouble remembering. I know that it was one of those moments where I panicked, and I was like, name a character. What's the first one that comes to mind? And I think I said Mike, and I love Mike, but Mike's my second favorite character. I should have said 11, but it was okay. It was super cool. So Addison's coming back in now, and she's going to have to make one more trip. Okay. If you're listening to the podcast, you should go at this point, now that we're showing stuff off, and go check it out on the on Facebook. So we're doing this, as I said, Facebook Live, facebook.com/groups/Stranger Things GSM. And you can't even see me now. I'm going to have to try to make room for these. So I don't remember what she gave me, though. So I'm going to have to ask Addi when she gets back in here, because she will probably remember. But it was way cool. So we didn't get the hat and we didn't get the t-shirt that we were hoping for. And they had been handing those out, earlier in the day. And so for us to have been waiting in line for 4 hours at that point and to have just missed them, we were pretty disappointed. What did she give me, Addi? Was it this one here? Or did I get this at the booth?
I think you, wait, I think you got that at the booth.
I think I got that at the booth. Yeah. So what did she give me? Do you remember?
I don't think you got anything because you said you thought they were just like being nice to me or whatever, and like we weren't supposed to get that stuff, so you didn't take anything.
That may be true. I don't remember specifically getting.
Okay, then we have these two.
Yeah. This
one in the middle is irrelevant, so I'm going to take it off.
Okay, so we'll do these in just a minute. Let's finish talking about the booth. Oh, go ahead and show off Dustin though, because we were just, that is relevant to what we're talking about. And so after we finished the counter where they were giving out the loot, you walk outside and then into another room, and it is the buyer's living room. And it was so cool. It was the set. Like, they brought the literal set, and like the walls were like this printed fabric. It's a temporary thing. So I would imagine the real set is real walls and stuff. Maybe it's not. Maybe they do print that stuff up because it looked real. But like the sofa, like Addi and I sat on the sofa that was used for filming Joyce Byers' living room. There she goes. She's showing the mini pop Dustin to the camera. So yeah, and of course on the wall behind the couch is the alphabet with the lights. Again, not real lights, because that was all printed and stuff like that. So they're not like blinking and everything, but all the pieces, except for the walls, all the pieces and the coffee table and the ashtrays and the telephone, which had the char marks on there and everything. It was straight up out of Joyce Byers, well, the whole Byers family. And
it had like some games, like bookshelves and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing. And again, they encouraged us to kind of take our time, take pictures. They would let you sit on the couch, and they had someone stationed there to take your pictures. So it was really awesome. What did you think?
It was really cool.
Yeah, that was surreal. Like, because you and I have been to Hollywood and been on real TV and movie sets before.
We went on the set of Friends.
We went to
the one with the coffee shop place
Central
thing?
Perk, yeah,
that.
And then we did like Two Broke Girls and Dr. Ken and some other real sets. But still, this was
definitely the best.
One of our favorite shows ever. So that was incredible.
It is my favorite show.
Well, one of our favorite shows ever. Like, it's our favorite current show.
My favorite show ever. Like,
clearly, you need to watch more Twilight Zone.
Clearly, you need to watch more Stranger Things.
That was a perfect response. Okay. So anything else you want to say about the Netflix experience? They gave us hot dogs that were much needed and all the water we could drink, which was great.
The water was warm, though. It
wasn't great, but it was water, and we needed it at that point because we'd been baking out in the sun for 4.5 hours.
Oh, yeah. I got tan lines from that. I still have tan lines from it.
Yeah, I got burnt. I got mostly burnt a couple of days later. Okay, let's go over. So we got 3 mini pop characters. This will segue us into another line that we waited in several times throughout the week, and that's the Netflix booth. So the Netflix experience was at the Hilton Gaslamp Hotel. They have a nice patio for parties and stuff like that, and Netflix took over the whole patio and some of the adjoining rooms to put on this experience that we just talked about. And then over in the main, and so and just to be clear, the Netflix experience was open to the public. It was free. You just had to wait in line. No badge required. That's it. Which
that was really stupid. I think they should have had a separate line for the people who had badges so they could get in first because you paid to be there.
That would have been nice, but I mean, as someone who doesn't always has always had a badge or a ticket every day. Actually, that's not true. Anyway, I can appreciate those events over there.
No, I'm saying like they could still have a line for both, but like people with badges would be a priority.
Yeah, I could see that. So across the street in the main convention center, the San Diego Convention Center, they have the expo hall where all the vendors are. And the Netflix had a booth there. Let's see, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. And for that, it wasn't a whole lot. It was just this little tunnel, really. You walked in and you walked out, or a hallway is probably a better way of putting it. It was surrounded on all sides, not the top though, with TV screens.
What are you talking about?
The Netflix experience, the Netflix booth. I'm sorry, the Netflix booth.
Right on the ceiling.
Was it covered with TV screens though?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it had all kinds of TV screens around showing trailers. What were on the TV screens?
Sometimes like it would show a video and all the screens would be like put together. So like it would be one big video. And then sometimes they would have like different things on each screen. They had stuff for Defenders. They played Believer a lot. I just remember that like every time it was really loud too. You could just hear the
yeah.
Yeah. And then they had Stranger Things, obviously. What else did they have? I don't remember.
They would, if you use the right hashtags on Twitter and Instagram, they would suck that stuff in and then display it randomly on the screen. So it was really cool and they were giving away all kinds of stuff and it just changed throughout the week. We went through it. And I don't even think we'd gone through it yet. I think that we were talking to the guy in line and he gave us a couple of Netflix wristbands, black and white. And we took a picture of those we each had one. We took a picture of our wrists and used the hashtags. And then we got in line. And as we come around we come around to the front, and then the line snakes a little bit even from there. But when you come around to the front side, you can then start seeing what's on the TV screens. And there was our picture of us and our wristbands. And that was really cool because we didn't really know they were doing that when we took that picture originally. And so that was a pretty cool surprise. But yeah, it was mostly just different trailers and images from some of the shows and movies that they do. But there wasn't anything from season 2, I don't think, was there?
No, I don't think so. Unless it's like they showed the season 2 poster a couple of times, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then, so as I said, they gave away different items each time. We got the bracelets. We got some stuff for Defenders. Like there's a journal we got.
That was Death Note.
You're right. That was Death Note. What else did we get?
Well, are you talking about like on our way out or on our way in?
I'm just talking about, yeah, anytime we went through the line, because we went through that thing probably 4 or 5 times throughout the week, right? So what were some of the things we got at any point at the Netflix booth?
So, well, I got this Demogorgon mini keychain.
Yeah, so just like the Dustin one, that's a mini pop character, we got the Demogorgon with open mouth. And that's pretty awesome.
It feels really weird. It's like plastic, and like the hands on this thing is like really creepy. It's like all bony.
And I was super excited. I got 11 with Dirty Face and Waffle.
Eggo. Let go of my waffle.
Let go of my waffle. That's right. Yeah, as the mini pop. I mean, this is like, if I could have chosen one, this would have been the one. So I was super, like, I think I almost screamed like a little schoolgirl when she gave it to me. I was like, oh! It was one of those little...
Please never do that again.
And then they were giving away these T-shirts, and we finally got there at a time when they were giving away the T-shirt. I will show.
No, they weren't. I just asked them if they had any, and they were like, "Yeah, sure." So,
oh, okay, that's what happened.
That's also when I got the hat because I've been trying forever to get the hat.
They had extra large and mediums in shirts, and they asked Addi what her size was. She said medium, and they gave us the extra large. So,
do I look like an extra large to you?
So on the
do
back,
you know how to listen?
If you're not at the video, on the back you can see the Netflix logo, and then Stranger Things with the kind of the fading 2 behind it, and on the front is the upside down, the number 2 upside down. So we're going to be giving this T-shirt away because it's not in a size that either of us can wear. Let me just verify it's an extra large. It is extra large. So we'll be giving this away. So our next podcast episode, the season 2 preview, trailer talk, all that stuff, we'll have a contest, and we're going to ask that only if you can wear it. So only if you're an extra large. So it won't be a super hard contest or anything like that, since it's not open to everybody. But we just want the T-shirt to go to somebody who can use it. And I mean, seriously, we haven't even talked about it yet. It may be as simple as first person to email us, but not yet. We'll announce that on our next episode. Just know that's coming, where one of you is going to be able to get that T-shirt. Okay. And then on the expo floor, we went shopping because, we were really wanting some of these pop characters, and you can buy these anywhere, but, we were like, we're at Comic-Con, we might as well get them here. So let's talk about some of these that we got.
Okay. So...
Well, this one you already had. This is Dustin.
Yeah, I had Dustin. I went on a field trip, or not really a field trip. I went to a show choir contest, and we stopped by the mall. And me and a couple friends went to Hot Topic.
Hot Topic.
Please stop. And I got one thing, and that was this Dustin character. So it's pretty much the same thing, except this one has the compass.
That's the pop character number 424. So we also have 423 right here.
And this is Mike Wheeler.
Mike Wazowski.
I said his last name for a reason.
I know. Uh-oh. Okay. So that's Mike, number 423. And then Dustin was 424. And then we have 425, which is Lucas with camouflage bandana. Looking pretty awesome with binoculars. I'm giving the play-by-play while Addison shows it to the camera. So that's 425. And then 426, it's Will Byers with his vest on. The outfit he was on when he got captured by the Demogorgon. This is not the upside-down Will, although we have been displaying him upside down in the box just because that's how he should be. All right,
that's how he should be.
426. Let's see. And then... here's 421. We should have probably done her first if we were going to do these in numerical order. My bad. And that is the one to match the minifigurine I got. That's a Dirty Faced 11 with no wig. The one with wig is really hard to come by.
It's on here, this website that I've been shopping.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out there and buy it. It's not that hard to come by, but it's random in placement, I think, the one with wig. So this is without wig, with Eggos. Awesome. That's number 421.
I really like this one. I just like the detail and stuff of her.
That's Barb. And Barb with glasses and notebooks. So Barb from school. And yeah, that one's really cool. Like when we saw that one, we just had to get it. I mean, it's Barb anyway. And there's also a Barb from the Upside Down, which we don't have yet.
That's also on here.
That's on the list.
I put them all in our cart.
On the list of one of these days. Okay. Now let's do this one, 436. That is Joyce, and Joyce Byers with the bundle of lights, which was really cool. I think that might have been the last one that we picked out. We had a hard time deciding between this one and another one. We ended up, I think, getting both. I think it was her and Lucas, if I'm not remembering right.
Yeah, I think it was.
And then, okay, let's talk about these last two. So Funko had a booth on the expo floor, and they had exclusives that you could only get at Comic-Con, or so we were led to believe. But to go there, you had to get a ticket, and you had to wait in another line the previous day to get a ticket to then go wait in line for the next day. And it was just a mess. Waiting in lines at Comic-Con is such a mess. And so finally on the last day, they started letting people in about an hour before the expo floor was to close for good to buy any scraps that were remaining. And we just missed number 476. They didn't have it marked off their list yet. So it had just sold out shortly before we got there. So when we got there, there was nothing left that we wanted.
Yeah, true. They were all like weird things.
Yeah. So as we mentioned on our podcast, earlier before Comic-Con, there were 2 Stranger Things exclusives, and one of them was Mr. Clark with the paper plate, and the other one was Beat Up Steve with the nail bat. And so we struck out getting them from the con, which honestly, we didn't expect to get them at the con. We were hoping to, but didn't. But we went on eBay after we got home. Actually, I think before we even got home, I bought one at the Airbnb, and then I bought one in the airport. And so we now have both. Let's talk about 475 first. And that is Steve with the bat. That's why Addi took so long, because she didn't want to have anything to do with Steve, even in pop character form. And what's interesting about both of these is they have a sticker on them that says 2017 Summer Convention Exclusive. These are not exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con after all. In fact, I saw Steve with bat in my local Hot Topic right after we got home from...
I saw that. You didn't.
No, I saw it too, because remember your mom and I went shopping.
You went to Hot Topic?
Hot Topic, yeah. And we also got this one, number 476, which is Mr. Clark with paper plate, which is pretty awesome. The paper plate has the drawing of the flea and the acrobat wire. It's really cool. So glad we have that one. I haven't seen that one in stores, but it probably is. So anyway, we got them both, and I'm glad we got them both. We didn't pay outlandish prices for them. The person we bought them from did get them from San Diego Comic-Con, and I think we paid like $2 or $3 more than we would have had we gotten them at Comic-Con. So I felt like that was a pretty fair price.
Cool. So
we came home, including the minis. Now, you already had Big Dustin. So we got...
Big Dustin?
Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8 big ones and 3 small ones. Pop characters. That's a pretty good haul.
Yeah, and the 3 small ones were free, so...
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this irrelevant...
Oh, yeah, where did we get that from? Loot Crate. Yeah, the Loot Crate booth. This was super cool. The Loot Crate booth was diagonal, like right across the aisle from Netflix. And if you were a Loot Crate subscriber and could prove it to them, which was super easy, wear a Loot Crate shirt, show them a Loot Crate pin. I'm sure you could like log into your account, but we had enough Loot Crate stuff we were wearing every single day because we had all of our Loot Crate pins on her lanyard. So we went by every day, and they would give you a free thing until they ran out for the day. So I think we only got it 2 of the 5 days, actually.
Yeah, because we didn't know it was doing that.
Yeah.
And then we got, they were giving us like these free keychains. So I got one and my dad got one. We ended up getting the same thing. So
yeah, which was because we thought, okay, they're just giving the same thing away. There's no need for us to go every day. But what else did we get? We got a Legend of Zelda pin, like the Triforce. It's the Hylian crest as a pin, which was not a writing pin, like a stick pin.
A stick pin?
Yeah, like you pin on something.
Like the thing that could stab
a PIN, not a PEN. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nice.
And it's actually sitting off camera here. Let me see if I can grab it.
Don't break a hip.
So the guys over at Dark Horse Comics, which they're just really cool people over there, they were giving away stuff every day. In fact, that's where we got the Hylian crest pin.
Technically, they had already run out for the day.
They did.
And they got into the stuff for the next day.
Yeah.
And they were like, you really want this? And we were like, yeah.
Yeah, we've been coming and begging for the pin. Like day 3, they're like, oh, you again here. She was super nice about it, though. We'd also been trying to get our hands on a bag. They were giving away these yellow bags. Again, if you're joining us for the live stream. And we saw people walking around, and they were Zelda, because they have the arts and artifacts and the Hylian Historia, a new version of that they were selling. And it was just amazing. All the Legend of Zelda with all the Breath of the Wild timeline updates and character updates and all that stuff. And so we saw these people walking around with these Zelda bags, and we were like, oh my gosh, we got to get one of those. But they were, again, just as Addi said, very limited. And once they were gone for the day, they were gone. They were holding the rest of the stock for the rest of the week. And like one day we got there, she's like, oh, we just ran out 5 minutes ago. So that stunk. So the day of the panel, which was Saturday. Yeah, the Stranger Things panel was on Saturday. We got there earlier than we had been. Addi waited in line for the panel. I went over to the Dark Horse booth to try and get the bag because her brother, my son, Colby, huge Zelda fan, like all of us are, but he in particular, and we wanted to get him the bag. So I get there, and my timing is great. They've got stacks and stacks of bags, and they're not Zelda bags. They're Hellboy bags, and I love Hellboy, but I wanted Zelda. So I thought, well, a lot of times people will trade you. You know, they don't have the affinity for a particular character or franchise that you do. So sure enough, like the first guy I saw carrying a Zelda bag, I said, hey man, can I trade you this Hellboy bag for that Zelda bag? And he's like, yeah, I don't care. So he traded me for the Zelda bag, and here it is. And from Dark Horse, what else did we get? Anything else that's worth noting? I mean, we got some other junk, but is there anything else worth noting?
They had Dark Horse lanyards.
Yeah, we got the Dark Horse lanyards.
And they had like different posters. Oh, there was a postcard that was like from Hyrule or whatever.
Yeah, The Legend of Zelda. That's right.
It's in the living room. I don't want to get it.
Yeah, that's fine. So that was fun. We had a lot of time. We spent a lot of time on the expo floor, just walking around, looking at different vendors, looking at artwork. I did not like that. Why didn't you like it? I thought you did.
No, because my feet hurt and it was tiring. It was really tiring.
It was really crowded.
And, even like wearing comfortable shoes, like I was wearing my Converse, still.
Yeah, but it was, you're right about all of that. So, but we still had a good time because we shopped around and we looked for some artwork and we picked up a few things. So anyway, it was a good time. And the Netflix booth was fun. But we visited I spent more time on the expo floor this time than all my other Comic Cons combined, I think.
It's because of me.
It is because of you. Okay, so I mentioned that I went to the Dark Horse booth while you were waiting in line for the Stranger Things panel. Now, we knew that we needed to get there at like 6 a.m. to really have a great shot. The panel was at 2 p.m. After it was Westworld, and was there one other thing after it too that was pretty big?
No, I don't like Westworld.
Yeah, Westworld's a huge show, obviously.
I don't like it because it did that.
And the way San Diego Comic-Con does their panels, they don't clear out the room after a panel is done, which means once you're in a room, you can stay there all day. And the danger that we were afraid of and turned out to be true was that people who love Westworld would get in the room and then just stay there because Westworld was the last thing of the day. But you also legitimately have fans who are fans of everything, you know, or maybe of the 5 things that are going on in that room that day, they're fans of 3 of them or 4 of them. And so there may be 1 or 2 panels that they're not really crazy about, but they'll stick those out because of the other things that are there. And that's what happened. We waited in line for 8.5 hours. Is that what it was? Mm-hmm. Something like that. And did not get in. I thought we would because we made it to the covered area tents. If you've waited in the Hall H line before, you know, there's a grassy area covered in tents that are just right outside. And typically, like, we got to those by 9:30 in the morning. And so our panel isn't until 2. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. I even told Addi, I'm like, we're 100% getting in.
I was the hopeful one the whole time.
She was like the whole time. And then I was like, no, we're like 10%. Oh my gosh, now we're up to like 25%. Oh my gosh, now we're up to 90%. Holy cow, look how far we've gotten. And it's only 9:00 in the morning, 9:30. We're going to get in. And then it didn't move. It didn't move. And we
were in the first tent line.
Yeah.
Like we were in the last line, so there would have had to, or it was either the.
Well, let's explain that. So the way they do it is once you get to the final row of tents, they put you into chutes. And so there are 3 chutes, and they don't let people in. Once a panel has started, they don't let anybody in. But they'll take you in a chute at a time, or maybe a half a chute, and then let those people get in and then bring in the rest of the chute. And so we were in shoot number 3, I think. It doesn't necessarily matter because they're just going to put you kind of keep going 1 through 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there was a full shoot and a half shoot ahead of us that didn't get in. And then, of course, we didn't get in either. So I would say there's probably like 200 to 400 people ahead of us in line that didn't get in ahead of us.
I don't think it was 400.
I don't think it was 400 either, to be honest. It was closer to 200.
I don't think it was that much either.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot. And there was some controversy that day because to get you are guaranteed to get into Hall H by the first panel of the day if you have a wristband. It's kind of like the Funko thing where you have to go wait in a line to get a wristband so that you can then wait in line to get into Hall H. But it allows you to go get a good night's sleep instead of having to camp out all night for Hall H. And so you just have to camp out all day for the wristband. But there was some people who had wristbands who didn't get in, and the wristband is supposed to guarantee you entry into the room. And so it turned out that some people had gone over to like FedEx, Kinko's, and photocopied the wristbands because they're paper wristbands.
Yeah, there was a FedEx like right on Coronado Island. We walked by it a couple of times.
Well, yeah, but there was also one over at the Hilton Bayside too, and
so that's closer.
Yeah. So it was, so they forged them and got in, and that left people with legit wristbands out. All of those people who had legit wristbands and didn't get in, they were given full passes for next year, which is great. It's nice to see because the vice president of Comic-Con came out and talked to all of them and stuff, and we were right behind those people, but we didn't have wristbands. So we didn't get, even though we missed it, we weren't entitled to anything like they were. So we missed out. We were really sure we were going to get in, and we were really close to getting in and didn't get in. Pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I cried.
Yeah. She handled it pretty well. I
was screaming internally.
It was, that was the number one thing, like on our checklist of things.
The only thing.
We knew the Netflix experience was going to be there and stuff like that.
Well, I only wanted to see Stranger Things.
Yeah, you're right. Stranger Things was your only reason for even going in the first place. So that was really disappointing. And then Lucas was over at this Adult Swim area later in the day. Well, yeah, you're right, Caleb. And he was doing some DJ stuff, and so we tried to go over there, and they let me in. And then they wouldn't let Addi in because it's Adult Swim and you have to be 18 or older.
He's 15.
Yeah, it was frustrating, and the guys were kind of jerks to us, and that was probably our lowest point at that point, because I think at that point Addi and I were both pretty frustrated with just missing out on everything and waiting in lines for nothing. But anyway.
Oh yeah, and I think it was the same day we were waiting in line for the ferry. And I was scrolling through Instagram, and someone had just posted a video of Finn Wolfhard being interviewed on the IMD boat.
IMD boat, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is right there where the ferry is. And we were waiting in line for the ferry to go over to Coronado Island.
So we were with some of his friends, and they were like holding our place in line. So I like ran over there. Like I actually ran. I don't like running. I only run if it's absolutely necessary. I ran to the IMD boat, and he wasn't up there. Yeah, and we waited a couple minutes to see if he was going to come off. Nope.
I think we had just missed him again. And it was just like, gosh, this is our day. We are just missing.
And every time I looked at the IMD boat after that, I was just like, I just got like this wave of sadness because I was just so close.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Finn Wolfhard, in case you guys didn't know that.
Mike Wazowski. Ow.
Be nice to him.
Why did you hit me?
That actually hurt.
No. Stop.
It's because it's my left hand. I can do better.
Okay. So we waited in lines and only saw a few panels. The Ghostbusters panel was cool. They talked about, what's going on with the Ghostbusters comics, and the most recent movie was mentioned. The original movies were mentioned. They talked about other movies that might be coming up. And so, it was kind of cool, but they talked about Stranger Things for a little bit. We actually took a video of that and posted that to the Facebook page. Again, facebook.com/groups/Stranger Things GSM. And so they talked about how cool it was to see a franchise like Stranger Things paying homage and kind of bringing Ghostbusters to the next generation and stuff like that. So it was really cool. So do you have anything else about Comic-Con itself you want to talk about?
They should have been more organized.
Yeah, it's really frustrating when on Saturday they had all the big panels were in Hall H. And then on Sunday, I mentioned we went to the Doctor Who and the Dirk Gently panel.
We just walked right in.
Walked right in, no line at all at 12:30 I think it was 12:30 in the afternoon. So, and that was because Doctor Who was really the only big panel of the day. And that was awesome for me because I was there for the 50th anniversary year of Doctor Who, which was also Peter Capaldi's first year as the Doctor, and then this was his last year as the Doctor, and also Moffat that's his last season as well. So that was kind of cool for me to have been there for Peter's first and last cons. I mean, cons as the official Doctor, he'll continue to go to cons and stuff, but yeah, you walk right in because there's not because
no one cares about Doctor Who,
and yeah, well, people care about Doctor Who, but that's the only thing they care about. And it's a huge room. It seems like 7,000 people.
Not big enough.
So yeah, it was frustrating that they loaded all that stuff up on Saturday. They need to kind of rethink how they do that, but it is what it is. So I want to talk about some of the other things we did while we were in San Diego. You mentioned we had some friends there, Chip and Sarah Mims, who have been longtime friends of Golden Spiral Media. They were at our Fringe finale party back in the day, and you guys probably know them if you're regular listeners to Golden Spiral Media podcasts. And they do Watching the Americans podcast, and he also has a craft beer podcast called Tales from the Cask. So we had a good time just hanging out with them. They were also staying on Coronado Island, and now Chip's profession is his family owns a beer distribution company in North Carolina. So he has friends in the craft beer industry. So one of the biggest craft beer brewers is called Coronado Brewing right there on Coronado Island.
Really? Coronado Brewing's on Coronado Island?
That's right. In fact, they were right across the street from where you and I stayed. And so they invited Chip and Sarah and us onto their boat one evening. And so I would love for you to talk about our experience on the Coronado Brewing boat.
So, we went down to like this dock place, and it was really weird because it was like moving. The dock was moving, and we almost fell a couple times, but whatever, it's cool. And then like there's a boat and some people I didn't know, and then they had like some beer and some water, and Dad didn't let me have any beer. Thanks a lot, Dad.
Well, you're not the right age. You had some Coke and some water.
Oh yeah, I had Coke. And then after I was done drinking the Coke, I crushed it up just like 11 did, except I did it with my hand and not my mind. But whatever, same thing.
Right.
Yeah, so then I was sitting at like on the top part because I got cold sitting in the front. Yeah, so I went upstairs and I sat on the top.
Yeah, that was fun. We set out like what would be the hood of the car, except I don't know what you call it on the boat. Is it the bow or I think it's the bow. I don't know anything about boats.
I think the stern is in the back.
That's what I'm thinking. The bow is the front and the stern is the back.
Titanic.
People are like enraged right now. What are you talking about? Well, we don't know boats. In fact,
what's a boat?
I spent more time on a boat in this trip to San Diego than I had my entire life combined I'm 41. So I don't go on boats. But yeah, you and I both went out there on the bow. We'll stick to bow. We're either wrong together or we're right together. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty lit. And like you could feel the water. It was like spraying us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got cold. I wanted another drink. So that's when I got the Coke, and then I went upstairs. It was like a little ladder. I was sitting like behind the front passenger seat, and I was like sitting behind it. And then what was his name? Rick?
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, you want to drive the boat?" And I was like, "Are you serious? Are you being sarcastic? I can't tell." So I was like, "Sure, I can totally drive a boat." Pretty sure that was illegal, but whatever. It was so cool. I actually got to drive.
I had to be honest, Addi. When he asked you if you wanted to drive the boat,
you were jealous.
A little bit, because I've never driven a boat. But I thought he would let you sit down and just, drive it for a minute or something like that.
No, I got to steer it for like 30 minutes. It was,
yeah.
And I got to like, it was actually really cool because I like driving things, golf carts, boats. I need to practice driving cars. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
And we saw some seals and like a marine base thing.
Yeah, that's is it Air Force? I'm not sure. There's a military base there.
Yeah, military was what I was looking for.
Yeah, that's the safe word. Yeah, it was. I mean, you did great. He would say, "Hey, Addi, we're going to go up here and kind of pitch the back end around and do this and be mindful of that boat over there and
don't run into anything."
Yeah, and you were just like graceful with the boat. Like even Addi brought it into the docking area. Now, when it came time to actually dock the boat, then she geared it down and he took over. But Addi brought it into the marina and did a big kind of U-turn, and there was a couple of other boats going in and out, and he would give her really basic instructions like, okay, move the one motor this way, the other motor that way, or bring your back end around. And she just did it like she was a boat pro. I mean, I was really impressed with you. You did great.
I know, it was awesome. And then I felt like a pirate because it had like the steering wheel had like the little like the pegs on it, so I was just like
How was that again?
I'm like SpongeBob in his boat driving school, except
Okay.
I'd probably pass, even though he's failed so many times.
Okay.
I've never actually watched SpongeBob, just letting you guys know.
I've seen very little. I don't know what you're talking about.
I've seen a couple episodes.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to share that story, because you did really, really great and got to drive the boat for a long time and around. Like we went all the way to Ballast Point and then back around and all these other places, and you did great.
Thanks, Family Lamb.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to share about our trip to
that French toast was really good.
San Diego? It's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking maybe we should talk about the food that we had while we were there. Is there something that sticks out food wise?
The French toast.
The French toast.
I only had a little bit because I was feeling sick that day, but I wish I wasn't, and I really want more. It was so good.
Yeah. So we went up. So our final day after the con was over. This would have been on Monday. We rented a car. What kind of car did we get?
We got a convertible Mustang that was charcoal gray, which is okay. Before black convertible Mustangs were my favorite car, and then because we didn't know what color we were going to get from the rental company, we ended up getting a charcoal gray, and I love it. It's my new favorite now. I really want a charcoal gray convertible Mustang now.
It was fun. It wasn't very expensive, but it was kind of our splurge day. We took the car up to La Jolla, and I had my friend Clint, who used to do the Fringe podcast with me. He grew up in San Diego, part of his childhood, and so he knows the area really well. And he introduced me to this place called Brockton Villa Restaurant in La Jolla, and they are famous for their French toast, which they call Coast Toast. And Addi, some of you will know this, Addi is like her favorite food in the whole wide world is French toast. Anytime she and I go to breakfast or even non-breakfast, if it's available,
Chicago,
she'll eat French toast.
So we went to Chicago a couple of years ago, probably 4 years ago, because I was in 5th grade, I think. It was in April. I remember that. So we went to a couple of restaurants. Like every single day there, I got French toast.
French toast, yeah.
Yeah. And then we go to this little restaurant, like just downtown. And yeah, I always get French toast there too. And chocolate milk and orange juice, and I mix them. Yeah.
So knowing that La Jolla and Brockton Villa was known for French toast, I thought, well, that's on our final day. We have the rental car. We're going to get some In-N-Out burger, but we're also going to get some Coast toast. And then, as you said, you weren't feeling that well that day.
Good thing I felt good whenever, good thing I felt well whenever, wait, no, I think it is good. Whatever. Okay, I felt good enough to eat In-N-Out whenever it was time. So yeah. I'm really glad.
It was a fun day. So we had the Coast Toast. We walked around along the shoreline there and got some great pictures of some of the sea life. I
took a lot of pictures.
Yeah. And then we jumped in the car, went up to the beach there in La Jolla.
I have tan lines from that too.
Yeah, I got roasted. I forgot to put lotion on my legs.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I had put it on my face and stuff, on my arms. Idiot me, didn't put it on my legs, so I got roasted. But we spent the day at the beach, and then we went and got some In-N-Out burger, and then back back home to pack. So it was a great trip for us, I think. We had a good time.
My favorite day was definitely the La Jolla day.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Glad we did that.
Oh, I think we posted this. I'm not sure, but I think we did. But yeah, I want to mention it in this video. But Millie Bobby Brown, she retweeted us. So that was the day we were waiting in line, and we were still kind of towards the beginning of the line, but it was after we started moving. He decided to check Twitter, and yeah, apparently Millie Bobby Brown retweeted our we saw someone cosplaying as 11. We took a picture of them. She retweeted that.
Yeah, she did. We saw a lot of great cosplayers. Most of them were 11. We saw some Barbs, and what else did we see?
We saw someone dressed up as the alphabet wall.
Yeah, he was cool, and it had like the lights would blink and stuff. Had a good time. Let me ask you this, Addi. If given the chance to go back to San Diego Comic-Con next year, will you go?
Maybe. I don't know. Because it wasn't... I don't know. Because I only went for one reason. I think it's definitely better if you have more than one reason to go. Like, because I only like Stranger Things, and everything else there was just Because there was some Supergirl stuff, but I stopped watching Supergirl like a long time ago. So if I could like be guaranteed to get into some of the rooms, and if they were more organized and didn't have all the stupid things on the same thing as Stranger Things, then then maybe, yeah.
There's always going to be conflicts of, like, I wanted to see some of the Gotham stuff, but I think there was conflict in with Stranger Things on that, and but it was disappointing from that perspective for me too. I don't know if we'll go back next year. We won't go back because I have a big show that I do for my business every year called Podcast Movement, and it's not only a good time for my business, but it's also a good time for me to catch up with friends. And Podcast Movement takes place, I think there's one day between San Diego Comic-Con and Podcast Movement next year. And Podcast Movement is in Philadelphia. So, and I have to be there a day early to set up my booth and all that stuff. So it's almost impossible. I mean, I could go straight from San Diego to Philly, but that doesn't seem very feasible. So the odds of us going to San Diego Comic-Con next year are almost zero. But we might replace it with, say, New York Comic-Con or even Dragon Con. So we'll see how that goes.
As long as it's not in Texas.
Yeah. But this one we had a ton of fun, but I don't know. And it's getting just harder and harder to get tickets. It's getting harder and harder to get into the panels that you want to get into. So I don't know. I'm kind of with Addi. I don't know that I would go back next year, even if I was lucky enough to get tickets like we were this year. But overall, we did have a good time, even though we were quite disappointed with not getting into the panel. The panel is available on YouTube, by the way. And so go check that out if you haven't seen it.
Oh, and one more thing. This didn't happen at Comic-Con, but it was kind of last week maybe. Mm-hmm. So on Instagram, you can live stream and you can comment on people's live streams, and they could, like, if they want to, they can pin it. And that means they saw your comment since they pinned it. So the person who plays Tommy Chester, he was live streaming, and I was like, okay, I guess I can just go watch it. And there were only like 64 people on, and I was like, hey, if you see this, pen it please, with like a whole bunch of hearts, just like, it was in all capital letters and like big like red hearts, like emojis, so like he would see it. And he pinned my comment, and I took so many screenshots I accidentally turned my phone off.
It's pretty cool that one of the cast members saw your comment and pinned it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for this episode. In our next episode, we're going to talk about the season 2 trailer. We're going to kind of recap season 1, give our thoughts and predictions and hopes for season 2, and also share your feedback that you've sent in. So if you've got any feedback on season 1 that you want to send us, or your thoughts and predictions and hopes for season 2, please send those to us.
I hope Steve dies.
304-837-2278 or goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback. And honestly, you can come over here to our Facebook page or on Twitter. Follow us there, Stranger Things GSM. No, Upside Down GSM on Twitter. And just leave us your thoughts there. We'll share those in the podcast as well. We'd love to have your thoughts for that episode. Again, that's probably going to be around mid-October, about 2 weeks before the show starts for season 2. Addi, I think that's it. Well, thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. And until next time,
Stay strange.